Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alien versus Predator Galaxy podcast. This is regular host Aaron Percival, aka Corporal Hicks, and joining me are my fellow enthusiasts and art appreciators, art aficionados.
Adam Zeller, aka Ridgetop.
Eric Adams, aka Xenomorphine.
And we also have the pleasure of being joined today by a special guest who is responsible for some absolutely cracking poster artwork himself, none other than the talented Mr. Matt Ferguson. Welcome to the show.
Hello, I'm here.
You're such a fucking Brit. You just that enthusiasm right there. I love it.
Like I did an interview once at a Comic-Con on camera and everything. Hi in America, are you having a great time? How's your convention been? I just went, not bad.
And
they were just like,
yeah.
Oh man, that is pretty much just us, isn't it? An entire lack of enthusiasm, even for shit we love.
It gets conditioned out of us at birth.
yeah,
So
disappointment is rife.
Although, you know,
That's
but what we are here today to talk about is, well, Matt himself for a start, because this is we're going to learn a bit more about Matt and the work he does, and some of the stories behind some of the work he's been doing, and the artwork from him that we'll have seen. When did you do those original Predator posters? How long ago was that?
Oh, the first one I did, it's got to be 2016, 2015, 2017.
So a good
Some
few
years
years
ago, yeah. But in the before times, so I can't really remember, to be honest.
What is everything pre 2020?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, Matt has been around for a while. We've known of his talent for a while, thanks to two very fantastic, what were at the time, I guess, fan posters for Predator and Predator 2. But now this man is an official artist for the series. But yes, Matt, before we waffle on and start talking poster art and the process and everything, it's an Alien podcast. It's a Predator podcast as well. And all the nerdy things, we always have to have that first memory of how you came across Alien and or Predator. Do you remember? Is it burnt in your memory?
Yes, it is. I think for most people it probably is, isn't it? I can do both, to be honest.
Please.
So Alien would be, I guess it's going to be 1993, 1994. When did Alien 3 come out on VHS? 94, probably?
But I'd
think
imagine
it was
92,
93.
93, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It was in the cinemas in anyway, around
90, was 91 or 92 the release date? 92, weren't it? Yeah.
So
yeah,
maybe
it must have been
memory.
93.
So I would have been like 8
92.
or 9 anyway. And we got in 1990, 1991, we got a VHS player for the first time in my family anyway. And, we had some tapes. We had like a few things that were just acceptable movies. Well, there was a drawer in the chest of drawers in the dining room that I wasn't allowed to go in. And I remember sneaking and going to have a look. And in there was a tape, and it had bold Sigourney Weaver. I didn't know who she was at the time. And then, you look on the back, and there was a thing on the back. My memory is it's a xenomorph. And I was just like, what the hell is that? Because I've never seen anything like that in my life. So it just was like, that's that memory of looking in a drawer I shouldn't look in and looking at the tape and being like terrified by the tape. So that's that. And then Predator is my cool uncle, put Predator 2 on when I was about 9. And just that scared the living daylights out of me. So I didn't even watch Predator 1 first, or Alien, or just come at it sideways, basically, with those other movies. So I got a soft spot for Predator 2 because it's the first movie I watched out of all of those.
Predator 2 is pretty adult one to start off with, I think.
Yeah, it was the whole sort of, there's like a sex scene. I remember that, obviously. And then the guy getting his head chopped off in the alleyway. I really remember that because it was like, I've never seen anything like that in my life. He shouldn't have shown it me. I was 9.
You're saying but both these franchises basically traumatized your childhood.
Yeah.
Damn right.
You guys will
the
tell them.
healthiest way to go.
earlier than I did. I was like a teenager.
Mm.
So you did watch that Alien 3 VHS?
No, I didn't watch it. It's just the
Okay.
box that scared me. The box was enough because it had a it was a
It must
picture,
have
not
had-
big, but it
must
was a
have had that
cinema.
iconic
The
face
face at
against
the
face.
side of
Yeah, it
Ripley.
must have been.
I
on
don't know
there.
if it was.
That was from what I
I
remember.
feel
that
like it was in the
major
Foundry. I
image.
feel like it was in the Foundry.
Surrounded by the fire.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
my
yeah.
memory of it. But obviously, memories are funny.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, sometimes when we went to the video rental store like Blockbuster, I would like look at the movies I was too young to watch
Yeah.
and look at the cassette covers and stuff. And I always just remember the Alien and Aliens ones with that had the little square and just seeing the pictures on the back. And I was like, wow, someday I'm gonna watch that.
Nightbreed, that was one for me in the
Yeah.
VHS shop.
People they don't realize when we had like rental stores, to us in our formative years as kids going there, for us it was like going to an art gallery because it's literally bits of art on those
Yeah.
like tape cases and stuff. But it was like you always went to like the sci-fi and horror stuff because that was the most dynamic art that was on the cover, and you had some amazing stuff on those things. And sometimes it would show stuff that was never in the films in any way whatsoever, but you remember the posters.
But they're the good posters.
Yeah.
They're the good posters
Definitely.
as well.
I mean, you used to like, if the rental shop had not got used for it, you used to go up there and just say, yeah, can you have the posters? You're not going to use, yeah, 50 pence. And you used to put them on your wall, and it was a piece of art.
Yeah.
Or the standees if you had the space.
Yeah, I got Batman Forever. It's a big standee.
Oh man.
And it was for the video game, the Konami video game.
We call it Konami here.
Look, I'm terrible. But yeah, and that was like took up my whole bedroom for like a year. This massive 6 foot of Val Kilmer. Yeah.
I used to have, not quite so old, but I used to have one of the AVP 2010. You remember the hangers that the game shops used to have where they'd hang artwork from the ceilings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have one of those that I got from one of the, I think it was like CEX before it became CEX Game Station.
Game Station, that was a thing.
So yeah, that disappeared though. I have no idea where that went. That makes me sad. But
well, Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about, for those who may be less aware, your career as an artist and how you got into producing posters?
So, from a very young age, I was always interested in drawing and being creative and all that sort of stuff. So that's where it started. Then when I was a teenager, I got into video games and I loved Doom and the original PC version of AVP game, which is relevant, I guess. And I taught myself Photoshop so that I could edit video games. So I used to do textures for games and do skins for characters and things like that. And that led to me getting some job offers in the game industry. But I was only 17, so I was like, I don't want to, I'm scared. So I didn't do that. I went to university and did a film degree and then just amassed and watched as many films as I could. Then I worked in a shop, HMV, which is a record shop, for 10 years. And then just bit by bit, I did things. I made a picture for my wife in 2008 of Samurai Jack, because we liked watching Samurai Jack, cartoon Samurai Jack. And then her sister was like, you made that? That's amazing. You should do this more. So I started doing more things. And then I did some stuff for the Avengers just for fun and put it online. And then that got me noticed by Marvel Studios. And so my first job, proper job doing this, was the Avengers box set. So I did the Avengers box set when that came out, which is like a box with a cool Tesseract, and I did all the artwork for the covers for that, which is, when you look at it now, I think it's really basic and I've come on a long way, but like minimalist artwork was quite popular then. And then I've just not looked back, and I've just carried on making movie posters since then.
So Disney's been a long-time client then.
Brilliant to work with. They're very hands off and let me be really creative and come up with ideas and just sort of yeah. So I've been working with Disney for more than 10 years.
And I was unaware of this, but you founded Vice Press Media, and you've done a number of collaborations with Mondo, if I'm correct.
That is not correct.
Oh, I'll correct
I
that.
did found Vice Press with my business partner James Henshaw, and we make movie posters and pop culture stuff. But we never worked with Mondo.
Oh,
We do
okay.
know Mondo and speak to those guys, but we've never collaborated.
I guess that makes sense because you guys sell your own prints.
Yeah. So we do get
Cool.
licenses from film studios, and then make original new artwork, which is kind of like a lot of the time it's a vehicle for me to do something that I want to do that I'm not necessarily going to get a chance to do. So it started off with me wanting to do Judge Dredd artwork, so we got Judge Dredd license, and I did that, and so on and so forth. It just sort of, so I'm technically the creative director. So I kind of like sort of art direct all the posters that Vice Press put out.
And when did you start Vice Press?
10 years ago, so 2015. It's 10 years this year.
Oh, nice. Well, congrats.
Thank you.
And I think just like Mondo, you guys, your stuff is pretty limited. I know I've gone on the hunt for that, like the dark silver Blade Runner unicorn a number of times, but it just goes like that.
Oh, the ornaments,
Yeah, well, I think you made some bigger ones, didn't you?
I did make bigger
Yeah.
ones. Yeah, there's bigger ones.
It's the big one that I was after.
Yeah. They're really popular and they just sell out straight away. But it's just me and James, and then we've got one person that works for us. So we kind of keep it limited just for that reason, so that we're not just backing up posters forever.
Yeah, and I guess there's a separate discussion probably to be had with that. I know Mondo was like bought out recently, and a lot of people were concerned about that. So sometimes you just gotta, that's your thing. But I mean, it's there's a huge demand for it. So
yeah, it's something we're always working on and getting more. And I'm not against doing second editions of things and doing more either. So, but a lot of collectors are. So the people that get one
value it for its limited.
They're like, you better not do another one because I've got this. But I think more about the 3,000 people who didn't get one.
Yeah, it's a problem I have with collectors of things that then keep them locked away.
Same. I'm a box opener. I mean, some of these Transformers behind me, I've got shelves full of Transformers. Quite rare and expensive, but I'm opening them. I don't care. How can you keep a Transformer in a box? Because it's got turned into a robot.
Exactly.
You're not even getting the most out of the thing. It's like there's people that buy Lego, right, that don't open it. You just got a box of bricks.
That is massively pointless. Yeah. Well,
but,
for me,
each to their own, isn't it? They're allowed. It's fine.
For me, it's script collectors. I can't stand it when they buy a script, a draft that's not out there, and they keep it locked away, and it's this little bit of movie history that's locked behind somebody's collection who wants some. Yeah. Yup. And then I'm that bastard that buys them and then types them up and releases them online, devaluing everything. I'm a scourge.
For me, the value is never monetary. It's more the thing itself. So, like I always say with the posters, I don't necessarily make posters for collectors or people that want to own that. I make it for people who like the thing. So if I'm making an Alien poster, I'm making it for people that like Alien. And I like Alien as well, obviously. So I'm more about those people. So when I see people that have got one from a cinema giveaway and it's pinned up on the wall and it's not framed or anything like that, that makes me just as happy because the value is in the fact that they like it. I think.
Although I will admit to hating myself as a kid for doing things like that. Just for the fact that the things have been lost. You know what? That's a question, actually. Okay. First Alien poster that you had up on the wall, if you did, which film, which variant?
I don't think I ever did have an Alien
or Predator
on the wall.
Or Predator, yes.
Don't like the Predator posters. I don't know if I ever did.
Okay.
No, I don't think I do.
Or the poster then. Can you remember your first?
The first poster I had up on my wall was a big, massive of the Enterprise D from Star Trek: Next Generation. It was like a cutaway one. You could see all the inner workings of the ship.
Yeah.
That was. Otherwise, I painted my walls white and I graffitied all over them. My parents let me just draw, so I just drew all over my walls as a young teenager.
That is embracing the artistic side.
Yeah, look, you see that I had lucky that I had parents that let me do crazy stuff like that. I remember I drew a giant 6-foot eyeball above my bed.
That would freak me out. That would freak me out.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, actually, I had the Predator poster that was the head-up display of Arnold Schwarzenegger with that pixelated alien writing in it before I'd even watched Predator. But what I did as a teenager, Forbidden Planet, I think they're still around. They're a science fiction shop in the UK, and they were selling in the early 90s. That's the one, yeah. And they were selling in the 90s postcards of all the different film posters. So I got loads of them and I put it over one side of my bedroom wall. So I had loads of mini posters and I've still got those, but I've got blue tack on the bottom. So I'm going to have to eventually declump this massive lump of film posters. But they were proper, like, glossy photographs. So yeah, that was like a little way to have film memorabilia on my wall.
I remember
Adam?
the first one I had framed and got up was the Alien 10th anniversary poster, which I still have, and that one I really like almost as much as the iconic.
Is that the
original.
Is that the John Elvin one?
I think so. It's the one that's kind of the orange and bluish
with the
hue.
xenomorph in the corridor. Yeah, that's John Elvin.
Yeah.
One of my favourite poster artists is John Elvin. So yeah, John Elvin worked doing airbrushing a lot. So he was a really classic sort of mixed media artist. So I think he used photos and airbrushing, and the way he did smoke and light was really. I mean, you can see on that poster, it was really, really good and evocative.
That's one of my postcards. That one.
I don't think you tend to see this.
No, because it's a re-release one, isn't it? Yeah, from now 30 years ago.
Fantastic one, but for me, it was a variation of the OG, one by Gibson, his guys. The Egg. It was a director's cut variant of the poster when that got released in 2003, and I was sort of helping out on a different website at the time, Absolute AVP, and they'd received some posters to give away for a competition, and one of them was damaged, and the website runner was like, "Do you want this one? I don't think we can give it away." So at 14, I think it was 13, 14 years old, that was the first Alien poster I got to put up on the wall, followed shortly by one of the Alien 3 posters, with the embryo and the taglines on that one. You know, the 3 times the terror taglines on that one.
False advertising.
Fantastic poster, though. I love that.
Those first few Alien posters for the first 3 movies are great. First one's the best one. Second one is where it's just aliens on the black. Although it's not like, an amazing illustrated poster, because obviously it's just a word. But what it is it's like the brass balls of just to be like, aliens. That's all you need to know. You're going to go. This time it's war, you know? So...
There was a variant of the... I remember when Alien came out on widescreen VHS, and for some weird reason, if you flip back to the one with the egg, that's got green on it. And when they did the widescreen Alien, they changed it to yellow for no apparent reason. They just made it yellow and orangey. Never found out the reason for that, but it's kind of difficult to find that on a poster now, but it's this kind of weird quirk that 20th Century Fox came at. Yeah, let's change it a little bit. And it's Now it's gone back to green again.
That's the first Alien poster is one as a poster designer that I'm always chasing. It's a perfect poster. It's so simple. I love that it's got nothing to do with the film as well. It's not even accurate. But when in 1979, no one had seen the way the flower egg thing or the Giga stuff. So it's sort of just weird, but it does the job. There's an egg. It's going to hatch. What's going on? But I'll go see it.
Yeah, I forget whether they came up with this design before the egg had been designed, or was this? Do we know what the? Because they must have made that as a prop. Because
it's a photo, wasn't it? It was a physical
photo.
egg.
Yeah.
That is in, or it was on display in one of the sci-fi museums in the States. I can't remember which one it was.
Wasn't there a teaser trailer as well where it was like
it's the same
moon and it moved, and so they filmed it.
The same prop, yeah, because it was. I think it was the same publicity agency that did that poster and that teaser trailer.
Yeah,
and it was the wife. It was the wife of one of the designers of this that came up with the tagline as well.
It's like the best tagline ever, isn't it? It's perfect.
Yeah, it makes sense what you said, Matt, in that people hadn't seen this, uncommon looking egg at this point. So this image of an egg that people would be more familiar with.
Yeah, and so then it's like it's strange, isn't it? So, like my job now doing a poster for Romulus is a lot easier because everybody knows what the things looks like. It's easier and it's harder in a way because how do you make something different? I guess I just didn't. Yeah.
I mean, you did a few variations of your Romulus poster.
Yeah.
And I remember the first one I got of yours was the red one, which I'd say was the most common one, and it was at my local movie.
That was in the US. That was for the US.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do the more sort of with the white border and the muted colors, just because when I see an image, so the red poster had already come out, the teaser poster with the facehugger on, and when I see something so good, because that is a really, really good poster, I instantly just want to do something different. So I was like, I think I want to do a different color. So the concept, it was more green to start with the concept, but then it was, I guess, thought like it'd be better to do it red to tie in with the rest of the campaign and everything because it was a very sort of red. Everything was red around that movie. So that's kind of like why that happened. But then in the UK, I got to do it that color.
Was that your choice or was that direction from marketing or Fede? Because I mean, some of the other posters that dropped at the same times that yours did, the red version, weren't following
Making
that.
It red came from someone at the studio. Yeah, it could have been Fede. I don't know. The only direct feedback I got from Fede was over the spit on the muted one with the white border. Is he just wanted a different color to what I did initially? It was initially I did it a lot more green neon colored because I was trying to in my mind evoke the original Alien poster because the composition is kind of similar. But he was like, no, I want it to match the color as it is in the film, which is fair, to be honest. It's fair feedback. But the good thing I got to do on the red one, which was different to that one, was I did a little variation on the title, and I did the spit coming down, and then it goes into the eye, and it sort of ties it all in. I really enjoyed doing that because at one point, I don't think I've shared that concept. I had the face, the chest burster even coming out, and it was where the eye is, and then it was a beam of light coming out of the person's chest, going up to the xenomorph's face and the spit. But it was deemed too gruesome to have.
Oh, that sounds so cool. Would love to see that.
So that was a really early idea that I had. I was like, yeah, you can just have it like blowing out. Yeah. And then that would make the film title, but it was quite gruesome, to be fair.
So how much? Well, tell us about how you came to be working on the official stuff. Then I guess was this them approaching you, or were you pitching them?
I it's really random, right? So I just went on Twitter basically and was like, I want to do it. And then this guy called Steve, who I have talked to on Twitter before about Star Trek, because he's a Star Trek fan. And I just thought he was just this nice guy that I talked about Star Trek, was like, oh, I'm Steve Asbell. I'm in charge of. I'm
Yeah,
in charge.
just some random Steve.
Yes. Well, you can do. We'll get you to do a poster, and then a few weeks later, the marketing team got in touch and were like, "Will you do a poster?" So it's good when the boss goes, because I think he was
Was this
involved.
for Prey?
No, that was for Romulus. I think Steve might have been involved with the Prey stuff because he's very hands on. Yeah, so that's how Romulus came about, and then Prey. Again, I just shouted online, I want to do it, and I think Dan, the director, might have seen it because I've spoken to Dan quite a bit. And then we did the Prey one in the same style as my older Predator posters, which was fun.
Yeah, I remember because you had done your own series of 2 Alien and Predator posters.
They were for
And
Bottleneck Gallery.
and the Alien ones kind of went together. Like it looks like it's one vista if you put them
Yeah,
next
that
to
was.
each other.
I don't know if I sent you those. It was
Don't think I
LV,
have those ones.
I
LV,
sent you those
whatever
ones.
it is, the LV planet. So on the Alien one, it's them coming off Nostromo and heading towards the derelict with half of the derelict, and then on the Aliens one, it carries on, but then it's the atmosphere processor with the dropship coming down, because it's something you don't really think about that often unless you watch the director's cut of Aliens, that it's the same planet. It doesn't feel the same because it's been terraformed.
Yeah, you never
You
see
know?
the big gas giant in the sky, and so
Yeah.
but that's cool how you did that there. And then yeah, again, your Predator posters, the first 2 you did were also taller vertical posters than
Yeah,
you
I had a
typically
thing
see.
for a little while of just doing them like that. I just
Mhm.
liked
And
doing posters like that.
the Prey one kind of goes along with that
Yeah.
same
I
style.
got Arnold Schwarzenegger into the Predator one, and there was no likeness rights for Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I just hid him, obviously, because he's caked in mud in the tree, and it got passed.
Nice. Yeah, those always look great, and I've always loved the imagery of the City Hunter Predator on the building with the lightning, and so I think you portrayed that one really well.
Yeah.
Also.
They're both incredibly atmospheric pieces, and the use of the lighting as well.
I kind of
Lighting.
I like with my posters to sort of pull back a little bit, I think, and show a bit more of the environment. Like I really enjoyed showing the corridor on Romulus for that reason. Although I just made it up. It's not from the film. I made it up completely. It's half the ship and half the
Yeah, because
station.
it's it looks kind of like the stairs when they first go into the
Yeah.
hive. So I mean that's another question as well then, when you are working on these official posters, what kind of material do they support you with? Do you get to see set photos,
Yeah.
concept?
So set photos is good. Didn't see much concept stuff for this, but that's kind of always a good thing anyway, because it's better to see actual stuff from the film. And then they sent through the scorched xenomorph, the puppet, and I was so excited when they sent me that because no one had seen the bloody thing yet online, and I'm a fan of these movies, and I was like, it's a great big puppet. It's not a guy in a suit. And I was like really excited because I thought it's going to look amazing, and it does. Looks really good in that movie. Yeah.
They make good use of all the practical effect.
And they used a guy in a suit as well. It's like different. It's using the right thing for the right shot, isn't
Scene,
it?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it makes it so your brain can't tell how they did it. It's not just CG, and it's not just a puppet, and it's not just a man in a suit. That's why it works so well, I think, because it's just a mix.
I'm always okay. I've got to ask your opinion on this here. because I can see it right now, and obviously it's in the design. Thoughts on the skull?
Oh, I straight in with the skull because that's from the original movie.
Yep. But do you like to know that it's? Do you like the imagery when it's visible?
Yes.
Or do you? Yes, damn right. So
because
Team
it looks
Skull, Matt is on Team
weird
Skull.
because it's not got any eyes. It's got no eyeballs, and yet it can see. So it makes it freakier to me, and it makes you think, it's a person, but not a person, obviously. And I know it's better to not see it as a person in a suit, so it looks more alien. Like the way they do the legs nowadays is better, but I think it's just the right amount just to have that skull, the right amount of sort of visual cue to really make it unsettling. It's why the newborn thing worked so well in Romulus, and I think why people don't like it is because it worked, because it's really freaky.
It's unsettling.
Yeah, so you go.
The amount. So I saw it many times in the cinema, and every time that scene, that shot, that reveal happened, it was just dead silence with somebody gasping or somebody saying something.
Oh, like the guy sat behind us at the premiere that said "fuck off" really loud, and we were sat with everybody, and it was hoots of laughter, to be honest.
That's brilliant. And it's just so unsettling, I went home and saw that fucking thing in the shadows I went home. I went to the hotel and saw that thing in the shadows.
I was convinced it was a special effect as well. I was like, they must have. It's either elongated CG, and then it came out that it was that basketball player who's really tall, and I was like, yeah, that's another reason why it's so unsettling, because it is a real thing on set, but it doesn't seem real, so it just really screws you with you. It's really weird.
And the human likeness as well.
Yeah.
What's it called when things unsettle you because they look human but they're obviously not? Is that the uncanny valley effect?
It is. So I guess that's why you think, oh, it must be a visual effect, and it's not. But it works so well, and then when you realize it's a real person, it works even better. Unlike the Ash, he's not called Ash, is he?
Rook.
Which that works when it's just a puppet, I think. And then the CG stuff, it's not the worst I've ever seen, and it certainly didn't bother me. But I can see why some people criticised it.
I love Romulus, but Rook is easily one of the dodgy bits of Rook is easily one of the most distracting things in the film for me.
It's like, it was cool when it grabbed at them, when it first grabbed at her, when it was on the floor, and when you see it from the side and it's just a puppet and stuff. It was really cool, because I think less is more, but also I can understand doing it because it got a lot of attention, didn't it?
For good or bad as well.
Yeah.
But okay. So let's go back to your poster here. Sorry. So you've reached you've tweeted online. Steve Aspel's reached out for you.
Yes.
What's the guidance? Where do you start? What do you know about the film at that point? And yeah, where do you start with this? Because I mean, Alien has got so much wild imagery involved in it. All these iconic posters, whether it's that egg that's not in the film, whether it's that simple shot of Ripley and Newt that James Cameron, I mean, he came up with that poster. Came up in as much as you can of this is the shot to use, please. Where do you start?
Well, the teaser trailer had come out and I'd seen that, and I was like, this looks absolutely banging. I want to do it. And then I just go back to the old poster. So I go straight back to the one that I like best, which is the first one, and just go kind of try and evoke that a little bit. So I just initial concepts were in it had space, and it had the side of the xenomorph's head, and it was kind of like I was thinking, I'll make it evoke the egg a little bit. But I agreed with them, to be honest. It wasn't really working. I did like the idea of the spit coming down and making the eye. That was early on. And then I just kind of like thought it's the sort of this seems like it's going back to the sort of horror roots of the franchise. So my thinking was I'll do the ominous presence of the xenomorph and the hero, which also references the Aliens poster because she's in a very similar pose to Ripley. So there's stuff in there that I'm trying to trigger people who have seen other Alien movies so that they go Alien. Obviously there's a great big bastard alien on there, but and then the ceiling with it coming out of the ceiling and the pipes was that I've always loved that shot in Aliens when it pans down, and so it was like the sort of hive mentality. I'm glad I did that because at the time I didn't know that there was going to be a hive per se with the extra xenomorphs and stuff when it turned into aliens for a little bit. So I kind of like by chance looked onto it, I think, and then they just went, "Yeah, do it."
So had you concepted up that idea before they were like, yes, crack on with it, like you had these two earlier versions of the side
Yeah,
profile of the
there's one
alien?
that's green. Yeah, that's the one that got the go ahead because I was saying
and that is just a concept piece. They approve it, and then you crack on.
Yeah.
Is it a intensive iteration process as you're working on them?
Yeah. So after that concept, I think I had about a week, 2 weeks to get it finished, and I went on a crazy deep dive figuring out how to do the 3D modeling for the hallway because I wanted it to be my own thing. So I sort of did all that in 3D and then illustrated the alien on top. And Rain, is it Rain in the film?
Rain, yeah.
That's actually my wife was reference. So luckily she got some Reeboks. So she dressed up and we put some sellotape around her ankles to sort of, she's wearing pajamas.
The high tops.
Yeah. And she was holding a toy crossbow, and then I just sort of punched in the rest and drew the actor's face over. So that's kind of like, and then that was a 2 week-ish process to do all that.
For the entire poster, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a mix of, what's the right word for this?
Mixed media.
Mix of techniques and media.
All sorts. Drawing, painting, 3D, photo reference. Yeah. It's a bit.
Is that
typically, are you working within Photoshop, or are you just kind of bouncing from different programs that you need? I guess with 3D, it would be a different program.
Yeah, 3D, I use Blender because it's free and I'm cheap. I'm not paying for bloody 3D Studio Max. It's so expensive. And then Photoshop. Yeah, I use Photoshop. I don't use Illustrator. It's weird. I can't use it. I've never been able to use it. So yeah, and then it's finished in Photoshop. Yeah.
And this is a wider variation of your poster, which is kind of cool because I think older movies did that more often, right?
Well, that's the UK quad size. So
okay.
Standard movie poster size in the UK was always 40 by 30 inch. So a lot of the time I like to do wider art so that I can do those two versions. But also it's useful for social media and stuff nowadays because they need lots of different sizes. So you got the poster size, which is 27 by 40. Then they might do a giveaway, which is 11 by 17. Then there's a square that you need to do for Instagram. Then you might need to do a header for Facebook, which is wider, like 16:9. So a lot of the time nowadays, when I do art, I do a wider board so that I can do the different sizes.
So you're not just designing a poster here. You are designing a piece of key art that you need to consider all these platforms for.
Yeah.
It's not a problem they had in the 70s, is it?
No.
And just for prosperity's sake here, then it was Steve Frankfurt and Philip
Richard
Gibbs.
Greenberg.
Yes, and Richard Greenberg as well.
Philip Gibbs was the actual artist, though, wasn't he? I think
He was the creative designer, yeah, the lead
Yeah,
creative guy on the poster.
because like they might have had a photographer or someone else because like he did the Superman poster, Philip Gibbs, but the artist on the Superman poster was Bob Peake, who was a famous film poster artist back in the 70s. So I think it was a whole mix of people. So you can't discount any one person because they probably all had input. And it's a little bit different working like that with an agency, I guess, because they're working to a brief. I don't necessarily work to a brief, and I do all of the type and stuff myself as well.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I think so much of movie marketing these days is just grabbing people's attention on social media because it's just you're in competition with everything else. And so I think that's why you just see this flood of posters now for big movies like Alien because they want to spark a discussion. Oh, which one's your favorite? You know, I'm going to go to this movie theater and get this one. So
and it's not just that as well. It's the different lanes of marketing. So you got to think that the different kinds of people that are going to go see a film. So they'll do a poster that's, for example, a Tom Cruise movie. They'll do a poster that's got Tom Cruise on it, big face, Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible 7 photo, because Joe Public will be like, "Oh, it's Tom Cruise. I'll go see that," if they like Tom Cruise. But then they'll do one for maybe people who don't know who Tom Cruise is or care who Tom Cruise is. That'll show some explosions or some action because those people might like action films. So nowadays, I think they do different posters for different demographics, and the stuff I do tends to fall into nerdy people that like old posters, like me.
Mm. And well, the Alien films aren't shy of that variety of stuff either. The
No,
later Alien films aren't shy of that variety of stuff either, are they? I mean, we mentioned the Korean style earlier, and
yeah,
for Romulus, for Covenant as well. That very much had faces splashed everywhere in the outline of an alien head. But then Covenant, in what is possibly some of the biggest a case of something not represented in the film, a biggest disappointment with that big poster of the alien with all the engineers around it
oh, the
and
big
the face.
sinewy blah, blah, blah stuff. Yeah, it's a really good poster. Then.
Yeah, that's the one I have up at the minute. So I have two behind me. At the minute, it's Covenant and the Japanese AVPR one. One of them's coming down for your poster shortly when I can be asked to take the snap frames off because it's such a pain in the arse. But it'll be the Covenant poster, I think. But yeah, I mean, it shows this huge variety of styles that still, that goes on now, and it's cool because you still get the moody pieces.
Yeah.
Like that original Alien thing, where it doesn't necessarily represent something that's in the film. And the same people who did Alien, the Alien poster, did the that Rosemary's Baby poster as well,
Yeah,
and
they did.
that's nothing that's in the film either. So it's interesting because these become iconic imagery associated with something, even though the imagery is not representative of this other visual medium. It's visual entity. It's really fascinating.
I kind of like
kind
as
of
well
thing.
sometimes the backwards engineering on some posters as well. So, like on Alien, didn't that influence the film and they changed the titles of the film because they liked the poster design so much? So that
Yes, so
the
the
using that
people.
font wasn't going to be in the film like that, was it?
It was the same firm that did the posters and the trailers, then ended up doing the title sequence for the film, the Greenberg and Associates, whatever.
And in the graphic novel adaptation of Alien, there's a much more Giger-esque biomechanical title of Alien, which has always made me think, wow, that would look really great on a poster, but so far that's not been
They did explore variations of the Alien as a title with Giger's aesthetic, because I think there must be on some of the home media. I've got screenshots of them saved because I love them. I
One
think,
that's like it looks like a metal album
Yeah.
cover. It's like spiky and stuff.
yeah,
It would change the whole tone of the movie though, because what makes Alien stick out from all those other ones is how classy it is,
hmm
right? And that is that minimalist Alien. I've always loved that opening because it's just like so serene and weird and calm, and not atypical for what is a horror movie. You know,
hmm
I think that's
Again,
a big
it's
reason why it's so good.
it's the atmosphere as well. You know,
Yeah.
this eerie space whale sound, as they like to
Yeah.
call it, sets the entire tone and atmosphere. And it's like you said with the classiness, you know, the charm and appeal of Alien is it's a B movie premise with an A movie style and gloss
Yeah.
to it.
When you
Adam's
say
sending me a lot of
minim-
posters. I don't know if he wants me to be sharing any of these.
Oh, just in case they come up with discussion. So
Okay.
when you say minimalist, I've got massive appreciation. Like this, the shirt I'm wearing is very kind of dynamic and stuff because I've done graphic design and stuff too. I've done it for charities, not films, but I have a great appreciation for like the poster for Covenant. I regarded as quite lazy because it was just photoshopping an alien head on there and going run. I thought, you've got all these artistic influences to draw from, but you've like the one you did for Romulus. You're using the hive to infer the alien. You're using elements to create one big kind of a cake with different ingredients, and you've done a very interesting series of 3 ones for Star Wars where you're using an outline of something iconic like R2D2 or whatever, and you're doing levels which represent scenes from the film. And that's like a kind of minimalist thing. And I love that kind of thing. Have you ever thought of using that kind of idea for Alien and Predator? And if you did, what would you do for that kind of style?
I would go. Don't know.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah,
but I really do.
What's
appreciate
important is
minimalist
if
design.
what's important, I think, is if it tells a story or tells the story.
Yes.
So, like the original Alien poster, it works because it's telling a story at the same time. It's in a weird place, so you've got a landscape. It's not a human, earthly landscape. It's weird. It's telling you it's in space, obviously, and then an egg, and everybody knows what an egg looks like because it's an egg. But the fact that it's split, so it's telling you that this is not of this earth. Just through those, so it's simple, but also it's really difficult to come up with something like that that's so simple and yet tells a story. And I try to tell a story with my artwork every time. So like Star Wars Empire Strikes Back is quite literally the Empire Striking Back. The key thing with that was that the only hero is Luke. So the only person that's standing up, I feel, is Luke. He's the key to stopping these people. And then Darth Vader's in his cage, and it also had that could do the space with the chamber and everything.
Yeah, it's such an awesome composition. I mean, episode 1 as well, and Return of the Jedi, which is my personal favorite of the original trilogy. So that's so cool that you got to do those. But yeah, to what you were saying, Eric, with the Alien Covenant Run poster, I guess there's a distinction between, you have teaser posters, right, which is like the first posters people are going to be seeing a little while further before they see the movie, and those typically won't have like the credits on them. They'll just be an image. A lot of times they'll be more simple. I personally liked the Run poster for Covenant. I thought the other ones they did, because they did a whole series of like one word and then like spooky image, I thought the others were a bit lazy, but I did like that.
the egg one.
Was it Hyde?
Yeah, Hyde was the egg.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but the final theatrical poster they did for Covenant, I thought, regardless of my feelings of the movie, I thought that was awesome. Like that just looked like, like a hellish nightmare painting.
Yeah.
Not representative of the movie at all, but I guess some gothic theming, but just the subject matter was very kind of almost leaning into the abstract a bit. But I thought it was really effective. And then, of course, us as fans, right when we were getting into this fandom and discovering this website, those teaser posters for EVP, I think in late 2003 is when they hit, where it was just close-up image of Alien, close-up image of Predator, and I still remember just seeing those in theaters and being so hyped for it.
I have a
Really?
huge soft
Okay.
spot for those,
Wow.
but purely because it was my first film in the cinemas, because I was slightly too young for the re-release of Alien when the director's cut came out. So I think you can never underestimate nostalgia as well. So yeah, I have a soft spot for the half faces and simple shots, because the teaser trailer was the same. The teaser trailer for AVP was nothing more than shots of the suit, just pans and bits put together with some lighting, and it's like, oh shit, this is covered.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the original Predator poster is Schwarzenegger, and it's not got the Predator on it, has it?
No,
It's represented, I guess, slightly through the color, and because they didn't know what they had, especially if the marketing people had only seen, say, Jean-Claude Van Damme in a lobster suit, they might not have been expecting much, because, like, at that time, Schwarzenegger films were corny action movies like Commando and stuff like that. And then it's an elevated version of, it's a bit like how Alien's an elevated horror movie. Predator is like an elevated, cheesy action movie off of the 80s. But I don't know if that poster is great. Don't know.
You can tell also you can tell they had those 3 taglines and they couldn't choose, so they just went, screw it, put them all on there.
I mean, they had the line in the movie, they had the script. If it bleeds,
Yeah.
I think that's. But
it's
benefit of hindsight.
I don't know. I've always had a soft spot for this.
They couldn't put the Predator on it because at the time nobody knew what it was.
Yeah.
And just been general audiences would have just been disgusted. I'm not going to go see that thing in a film, they would have said. Probably.
Well, also, you hide the money shot, especially when it's the original.
Yeah.
The reveal is
that's
selling point.
The whole thing. And I guess it does, if they showed it. I can get away with showing an alien on my poster now because everyone knows what it looks like. But then they didn't. So
it also speaks.
I'm just saying, can I ask you, as an artist, if you were hired, say, I don't know, I think Universal still got the rights, and they wanted you to do a poster for Jaws, and the original poster for Jaws is one of those completely iconic pieces of everyone knows what a shark looks like. How do you go about, you're hired for something and it's something that everybody is aware, it's that thing. You have to present it in a compelling way, but it's something like a shark or something like a giant ant. How do you go about making something that should be, it's familiarity breeds contempt? How do you trip that switch in the brain for a viewer of art to go, I want to go and see that, when it's something that's so.
It comes back to storytelling. So the Jaws poster works because of the woman swimming, because it gives you the sense of scale. So you're like, that's a bloody big shark, actually, and it's gonna eat her. So you're like, oh. So it comes back to that. So if it doesn't matter what it is, you've got. I think the key is to try and get some level of storytelling into a poster. What that is, I don't know. You have to sort of sit down and do thumbnails and work it out. And I guess that's why I'm maybe not a huge fan of the Predator poster, because it's not got it. That's solely being sold on Schwarzenegger. I guess he's got a weird target on him that shows that there's some alien language, but it doesn't even look like the Predator language from the movie. So, well, not the language, the numbers on the thing. So that's my only the target, I guess. Oh, because Schwarzenegger's, the strongest. Yeah, he's got a target on him. So what's stronger than Schwarzenegger? I guess that's the level of storytelling on that poster. But I feel like it's not as successful as, say, a Jaws or an Alien, because it's being sold on the personality of the actor more than the story of the film.
I feel like that one's. It's like you were saying earlier with the Tom Cruise thing. It is the early appeal of Predator. Not knowing about Predator is the fact that it is Schwarzenegger, and he is the big name. He draws people in. You think it's a shitty, corny action film, but it's actually got a lot more depth and theme to it than you'd expect it to be. So it's pulling one audience in for one thing and then giving them something else when they actually get there. That's not to say it's not still a fucking great action film as well. It's just a very good action film with a lot more depth to it than people give it credit for.
I really liked that they didn't call Prey Predator whatever, Predator 1602 or whenever it is. I like that it was Prey, because it's just that's quite gutsy in a way. I guess they felt they could do it because it was going to streaming, and maybe if it was going to theaters, they would have gone, let's call it Predator, because the new one's Predator again, isn't it? Because I think I've read this recently. You read so much stuff online, don't you? That Fede wanted at one point to it not be called Alien Romulus. He had an idea for it to just be Romulus, and he thought it'd be great to do a movie and not say that there's aliens in it. And then you go to see it, and then 20 minutes in, there's aliens, and you go, "What the? I didn't expect that." And that's kind of a cool idea, but it's having the balls to do it, isn't it? Because you can sell a movie with something iconic.
This is
seems like
something
he and both said the same thing. Like, they didn't want the audience to know this was going to be a Predator movie, And then hearing this with Fede and what he's talking about now with AVP, like, oh, I don't want you to know it's going to be an AVP movie until you see it. So I don't know if they could pull that off with today's, like you were saying, the internet. But
yeah, exactly.
With the speed of information, it's that surprise would last a whole one showing, and then it'd be all over the socials. And I would always selfishly hate them for doing it as well, because then it strips me as a fan, a modern fan, of the excitement of watching it, seeing all the artwork, seeing all the posters, seeing all the trailers.
The build up.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, but the build up can be a double-edged sword, can't it? Because you can have a build up to like something like the Phantom Menace, which I do quite like, but a lot of people don't. And I think a big reason why people don't like it is because the build up was so huge and so hyped that it could never deliver.
Yeah, the first
Well,
teaser trailer for that was insane.
Yeah, that goes back to the. Whenever we have discussions about Prometheus, we always say that first trailer for Prometheus, it has a completely different tone. And when you actually have Prometheus delivered, whether you like it or feel indifferent, certainly at that time, a lot of people felt almost shortchanged because they felt that it was a bit of dishonesty. It had a different tone to what you were from. Everybody loved what they edited together for that commercial.
All I could say about that is with Prometheus is that opening with the engineer on the waterfall and he dissolves, absolutely knocked my balls off in the cinema. I was just like, what? This is insane. I loved it because it was so
cinematic
and brilliant, and the music was incredible, and I was like, this is so good. And then people showed up on a spaceship and started doing really stupid stuff, and I was like, well, it's okay now. I'm still enjoying it, but it's not as good as it was.
Well, what's your view then if you go to something now? I love Rogue One as a Star Wars fan, but it is famous for having an absolute ton of shots. And I think the director admitted a lot of them they just came up with on the day. They were never meant to be used in the film, but there's a load of shots that were in all the trailers and stuff. Nothing whatsoever to do with the actual film. What's your view about it? Do you feel that's a little too dishonest, or do you think that's an interesting marketing tactic that
Well,
has its?
it's not always a marketing tactic, because it could be reshoots, because they carry on making a film right up until the day it goes to cinemas, really, don't they? Especially nowadays, because they can just beam it straight in over the internet to cinemas instead of having to take a canister over. So I think that's just like with Rogue One, that's just an unfortunate that they had reshoots and they changed a lot of it. But there's teaser trailers that did that were brilliant, like the Terminator 2 one in the factory, which isn't in the film, and it shows the skin getting put on. Or didn't Jurassic Park do it as well, where it showed the DNA and the stuff with the
Crazy memories
dinosaurs?
about that. Yeah,
And it didn't. None of that was in the movie in that form, but it's telling you we're bringing dinosaurs back to life this summer. So I like that in a way. But if they do it on purpose, if it's by accident because they've changed the film since the trailer came out, it can be a bit like, what happened there? Why did it change? You know?
Don't you think that sort of falls under the same sort of what we talked about like earlier with the alien egg, with
Oh yeah,
Rosemary's
exactly. It
Baby
does. Yeah.
though? So I don't think that kind. Well, it's hard to say, isn't it? Because when you watch the trailers, you are in that same medium as what you're going to be watching. You know, you are in a moving picture medium there, so you think of it as being more representative of the films, and we've kind of I don't want to call it dishonesty, but you know, it's like with Predators. Predators had a very infamous shot in the trailer where Adrian Brody is there. You start seeing the targeting lasers light up on
Oh, there's
him,
like
and there's
50,
one,
isn't there?
and
In the movie, there's 3 or something.
yeah, and the film took a little bit of flack for that, but as a visual, it was fantastic because it very much gets across the point of what they were going for with the film, and is there in the titles. You know, it's not just one; it's multiple.
I think it's different people, isn't it? So, like, you guys seem similar-ish to me, in that we like to look at these things and analyze them and think about it a lot, and go, "I can't wait for this to come out. I'm going to look at every single thing I can and think about it." And so then it affects you. But the general public, they see a trailer and go, "Oh, it looks alright. I might go see it," and it doesn't bother them. So, did it do the job of selling the movie? Yeah, probably. So I think that it's just another tool. It can be probably a bit heavy-handed sometimes, or done well. They don't do specific trailers just for a trailer anymore, do they? Like that Terminator 2 one. They don't do that.
I guess with Alien Earth, they kind of did. They shot it.
Oh yeah, good
both
point.
of those
And
specifically
the
for
Legion
the.
stuff.
And
Good
they
point.
had that TED talk with Guy Pearce for Prometheus, which was promotional, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's like
That's a whole other
thing.
thing.
Is that deleted scenes and stuff?
No, that's the
done a
viral marketing. So that's when
Wasn't
they're
it a
filming.
second unit?
But what?
director that
Surely
did
they
it?
had to have him young in the movie at some point, and they could.
Well,
have
there was a scene where you see David talking to him in his dream, and there he was portrayed as young. I don't know if did they ever film that, Aaron? So they cut that
No.
before they filmed
He
it.
was on
but
a
that was
yacht,
playing.
wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on a yacht in his dream. I think that's when they were looking at, because we heard they were looking at some like ocean or water related photography units.
Must have been some sort of plan, because I remember thinking, oh, it can't have just been so they could do a TED Talk video. So either they were going to do a prequel to a it's not really a prequel, is it? They were going to do a prequel to it
No,
where he was younger, or there was some sort of scene that they cut.
it's just what Adam was talking about. You know, David was talking to him,
Yeah.
and you were going to get a visual of it, and you were going to see younger Guy Pearce on a yacht.
His budget, wasn't it? It
Yeah.
was too much for just a
Right.
quick.
But they spent a lot of money on old age makeup. They could have just got
yeah.
an old guy.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? That feels to me like something. Like, doesn't bother me. It was good, Guy Pearce in that movie.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember liking that.
And I thought the opening scene he did with with Michael Fassbender in Covenant was really strong as well. But yeah, Prometheus really broke ground, I think, in terms of just the extent to which they had a viral marketing campaign. I mean, you saw this with movies more often in the past. Like I remember even the first AVP, they had a website up, they had this spooky music, which was a track from Predator 2. You could already look at concept art. Like before they even started shooting that, they had a presentation video with Paul W.S. Anderson where he was showing off concept art from the movie. And you don't see that as much anymore. But yeah, I think Prometheus just had a really strong viral marketing campaign that paid off for them. I mean, the movie is still the best performing in the franchise.
And to be fair, that was also in a period of time when that kind of internet marketing was really taking. I mean, fun fact for my other hobby, not hobby, my other big passion, Stargate was the first film of the movie, an official movie website.
Really?
So yeah. So when
I remember Blair
When
Witch
was
Project did a website, didn't it? Blair Witch Project got big.
yeah, well, that was a whole other thing as well,
It's-
though. That was presenting itself as if it was actual a thing that had happened.
That was early internet promotion days. That was.
Well, that
What
was
is the
after
Matrix?
Stargate as well.
What
Yeah,
is the
that-
Matrix was massive. I remember that. I remember I
Yes,
was
it
at school going,
was.
"What is the Matrix?" And my friends going, "I don't know. What is the Matrix?"
And it
We'll
played
go find
into
out.
the theme of the film itself. Yeah.
But it's true that nowadays there's a lot less mystery around a film because there's it's all out there and there's lots of news
Yeah.
stories about
Well,
this, that, the other. It's
also-
like I don't necessarily need to know any of that.
Yeah, but also these days, that I mean, recently heard out that they are actually stopping making Blu-ray now, manufacturing them, and it is all being put on streaming. Physical media is where we got a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff,
Yeah.
even just the art galleries and stuff. And that's not going to be there. So the studios aren't necessarily going to invest as much as they used to in the behind-the-scenes stuff and the concept stuff. It's being
Yeah,
cut
there's not
back
a book
now.
for Romulus, is there? Is there a book for
No.
Romulus? I'm
No,
like, where's the
it's-
book? I always
there's-
get an alien book.
Yeah, there's been a lot of pushing for an art book for Romulus, just given the crazy amount of awesome concept art and
Yeah.
artists that worked on that film. But I think with physical media, yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. I mean, we saw vinyl have a big resurgence, and I think people are starting to realize the value of maybe physical media.
Or crowd-funded documentaries like the Alien one.
Yeah, I mean, you still see some, like Charles de Lauzirika recently did a behind the scenes for the movie Civil War, the Alex Garland one. So you still do see those documentaries officially produced sometimes. I think he did one for David Lynch's the final season of Twin Peaks as well. But I mean, these companies that you have now, like Arrow, like Shout Factory, like
Criterion.
yeah, Criterion would be another one. There was another one I was trying to think of. Anyway, Arrow and Shout Factory are I would say the biggest ones now in terms of they're doing these awesome re-releases and trying to produce extra content for physical media that they're doing. So that is great to see. But I will touch on the teaser trailer issue one more time because I wanted to bring up a peeve of mine. I think that Predators was less egregious, I would say, in terms of just having more targeting lasers than we saw in the film. But what really irks me is, and again, I'm sure I'm in the minority on this, and Matt, like you were saying, the studio just wants to grab your attention, and for most people, they did the job, right? But movies like Rogue One, where we're seeing money shot after money shot that does not appear in the film, or Gareth Edwards' Godzilla in 2014, where the shots are just completely changed from what we see in the trailer. That irks me a little bit because I'm like, oh, when are we going to get the money shot of the TIE fighter just rising up? And what's she going to do when she has to stare down that TIE fighter? Oh my God. And it just doesn't happen.
I was prepped for that
So-
scene because at that moment in the story, I knew she'd been disarmed. And I thought, I know this is coming up. How's the character going to get out of this? And they don't get out of it because it doesn't happen. But it was a great money shot in the trailer. It's fantastic.
I think that's when they've changed the movie during production. So obviously they have a long lead in, and the trailers come out, and then stuff changes. So most trailers, I think, the the stuff is just made specifically for the trailer. So like, if there's the Captain America or whatever, and there's the Red Hulk, they do that shot, that one bit for the trailer. They filmed stuff around it, but it's not finished. And they're carrying on doing special effects right up until the day of release on these nowadays, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of shots in them, isn't there? So I think
How did you feel
that's
when
why.
Fede mooted they were going to literally do a cover for a VHS tape box?
Well, I got an email
was
and
novel.
they said Fede wants to do a VHS of the film and he wants to use your artwork. Is that cool? And I was like, are you joking? Of course it's cool. And then they were like, will you do some promotion for it? And I was like, I thought it would be tweeting and stuff. And I was like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll do some promotion for it. And then they were like, can you come to a screening in LA next week and talk about it? So then I was like, oh, I've already said yes. Okay, yeah, I'll go. And I've never been to Los Angeles before because I'm a hermit. I live in my little cave with my Transformers, you know. So we go there and watch the film, and then like David's there who played Andy, and Shane, what's his surname? Who's just the puppeteering from Legacy Effects.
Shane Mahan.
McMahon.
He's there, sat next to me, and the sound designer's there. He's really cool, and I'm just like, I feel like I don't belong here. But they were all really nice. I signed a bunch of posters, and they asked me some questions in front of the audience and stuff. And it was just wild that they did a VHS. I know they'd done the promotional one for the trailer, but the act to have the full film on one is just perfect.
I think it's
suits the film so well.
The first major studio VHS since A History of Violence.
Yeah,
is what I read. Yeah, which was like 2004 or something, maybe a little after.
But you
Yeah, I think
put out your
Resurrection
own.
had one.
Yeah, but
Well, that
that
was
was
97.
yeah, that was a long time ago,
Yeah,
Eric.
yeah. That's my point. It's been that many. It's been literally generations of people born since we've had an Alien film on.
Well,
many people
AVP
don't
had
know,
one.
do they?
AVP had one.
Oh, did it?
It will have done, yeah. They were still making them up until about 2007, I think.
Well, that was when the last major film one was. It was late 2000s.
Right.
But you make VHS. Well, you put out VHSs, don't you?
Yeah, with Vice Press. So I wanted to do it as well. I was like, my company does VHSs coincidentally. Do you want us to do it? And they're like, no, we're sorting it out in America. So that's fine because there's PAL and NTSC. So there's a difference there, obviously. But yeah, no, we've done Evil Dead 2 and Suspiria, and we're doing some more. And they're very popular with collectors. I'm not sure how many people play them, but there's that nostalgia factor of watching it. Like when we got the Evil Dead tapes in because they actually play, and I put it in the machine that we got. We found a working VHS machine, and it came up. It was just the nostalgia of it, like tracking at the beginning. What's even better is we get the 4K remastered version and scale it down to VHS quality.
Would you want to do Aliens?
I'd do them
series?
all. Yeah.
Well,
be great.
the anniversary's coming up, I think, right? The 40th, sometime.
I'd love to do artwork in that ilk of my style for the other Alien films, because what's so good about the Alien films is they're all so different, and people don't talk about that very much. Those first four are all so different.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always found them so interesting. Like even people hate Resurrection, but I just think it's weird and different, and I really like it. So I think that's what's great about those.
Have you done any Resurrection artwork?
No. I would though. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I would love to see that eventually.
I'd say it might be a little bit underrated, actually. Resurrection.
I agree. I think it's aged pretty well. When I first saw it, I was like, "Whoa, what is this? This is weird. This is different." But the older I got, the more I just liked it. It's just a fun ride, which I guess
crew element, and then like Ron Perlman. I feel like Ron Perlman might have been where Hellboy started. I don't know. It's things like that.
There are a lot of seeds in Resurrection that will go.
The Blade movies feel like they came out of that with some of the way they did the effects and things. I don't know.
Yeah, the only two I haven't seen in theaters are Aliens and Resurrection. So looking forward to the day that finally happens.
In LA, I saw Alien back to back with Romulus, so that's what the screening was.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I had a
And,
couple friends that went to that exact screening at the Egyptian, right?
Yeah. Oh no, it's the Aero.
Oh, okay. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a different one.
Anyway, it was good, and the Alien is amazing. But what was really interesting was how Romulus did stand up to it. You know, when you're watching it back to back, you'd think Alien's going to wipe the floor with it, but Romulus is a really, really well put together movie to experience. You know, like the horror direction of it. It was really, really good.
It probably tails off quite nicely, actually, into Aliens as well, with the way the back end of the film goes into a more action orientated. Yeah. So Rob in the chat, because we're broadcasting live to our Patreons, Rob has joined us in the chat. Brings up an interesting point here about the authenticity of trailers to the final product, where he says, just a thought on us being sold a different version of the story. Wasn't there a lawsuit about aliens cloning Marines about the game that was advertised? I wonder if that could one day be an issue with movie trailers.
Yeah. I'm sure people have probably tried, but did that lawsuit with Colonial Marines go anywhere?
Yeah, I think there was a settlement, but
really,
yeah, I think you're right though. I think it's kind of apples and oranges with that, because with a video game, they are showing off extended gameplay, and some of the latter trailers for it had stuff that wasn't in the game. But yeah, I don't
think it's to do with the technical side with the game, isn't it? There was actual gameplay, as you say, that was not accessible. It did not, that as opposed to just promoting this is the general vibe of what you're going to see.
I got that game. I got that game for $4.99 on sale, and I quite liked it. I enjoyed it.
You were robbed.
I didn't hate it. You know, there was aliens, and I was shooting them. It wasn't like an amazing old AAA game or anything, but you know, for $4.99, it was alright.
I think that lawsuit and that game is the reason we now have on game trailers work in progress.
Tag doesn't represent final gameplay. Yeah, the little disclaimer. Yeah, I think that's
that was
actually
before that.
I don't think
it's sensible to do that. They do it on product images for things like, you know, these, because they're a mock-up, aren't they? And it's not necessarily going to be exactly how the final product is. So it only makes sense.
And we've also seen a major shift in the way the gaming, just to go completely off fucking topic, the way that gaming games are marketed and how involved and how much they will show off stuff in progress now because of things like this. You know, back in the day, we used to have lots of concept art and early screenshots. And
they
things
would do a slice, wouldn't they? What they call a slice, and it would just be something they would make specifically to play at E3 or whatever. Sometimes playable, and just to say this is the gameplay you're going to get, but it's not the final thing. But the muddy area with the Colonial Marines thing was, I think they were presenting it as
they sold it
this
as
is actually it, and it wasn't. It was like kind of
They were doing presentations as if they were playing the game, but it was just pre-recorded.
With all the lighting and graphics and models turned up to 10. You know,
I think a different form of, I would say, popular marketing today that's moved from the viral marketing we maybe saw in the late 2000s and early 2010s to now is more focus on like experiences and events happening and having that translated to short form video and stuff, like the little remote control facehuggers they had running around and chasing everybody in the facehug people in the movie theater. Little bits like that just amp up that excitement, I would say. And more recently, I mean, just themed spaces too. If at a convention, they might have a themed space for this upcoming movie, and then all the influencers people are following will do a little TikTok video of it or something like that. I mean, just recently I was in Los Angeles for the game Rogue Incursion to try a demo of that. They just went all out theming up this space to look like their offices had just been invaded by aliens, and it was really cool. So I think that's kind of a newish form of viral marketing, is that focus on short form video content.
Well, you saw it with Romulus as well, didn't you? With the face hugged people in all the cities, and did you just mention that?
Yeah.
Sorry. But it's like it's been said, everybody's competing for attention because everything's so fast. Attention spans are so short now. It's like a barrage of different imagery, a barrage of different stories in quotation marks, along with the imagery to pull your focus back on this. And in some ways it's cool because, like, Matt, when we were first shown your poster for Romulus, it was with a fuck ton of other very nice, brilliant pieces of artwork as well. But then on the flip side of it, with Romulus, we'd had this really, really good teaser trailer that set the vibe, it set the mood, it showed us the visuals, it put us in this world, it set the tone, and spoiled nothing. And then they just threw a fuck ton of trailers out, spoiled Rook in it, spoiled deaths in it, and it was just this onslaught of everything, different forms of imagery, different forms of medium, just to grab our attention that ultimately, kind of retracts from the actual experience when you get to go and see it. Can't win. Just can't win.
Well, it's because they've already got our attention because we're fans of Aliens, or those kinds of films. So they do this for the people that aren't. So it's kind of difficult, and I can understand why they do it, because they want the film to be successful. So it's like getting the right balance, and only Romulus, I think, had a good balance. Ever since I heard what's the character called? There's something in the water. Something in the water. That I was like, oh, I'm in. I'm in. And I loved him in the movie. I thought he was great.
He was the asshole that you love to hate.
It's so good. Something in the fucking water. It's just brilliant.
Although our accents are now a fucking form of a piss take for people now, thanks to that.
I think another
better than just American sort of soldiers and stuff that's already been done. So it was
the generic, what was it described as, Adam? Midwestern? Is that the typical American accent?
I don't know. There's more American accents than you would think, but another thing I think that has gone kind of viral lately are the popcorn buckets, right? And these were around for a bit. I would say, like, even in theme parks, you would have lines to collect like the Figment popcorn bucket at Disney World. But it really went viral, starting with the Dune popcorn bucket.
Because it was just wrong, yeah.
Exactly. But now you're seeing all these movies try and one-up each other with how crazy can we make our popcorn bucket. And I remember with Romulus, there was a number of them. And I went to the theater like first thing in the morning, and there was a line just for that. And so these things are popular, and again, they spark conversation.
Don't forget Deadpool and Wolverine mock the absolute piss out of that. They made mockery of the Dune popcorn being part of their campaign, which is interesting.
Yeah, I like just a cardboard box with popcorn in. I'm very basic though,
Old school like that, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I guess taking it back to posters,
we haven't really spent much time on Matt Ferguson poster though. Yeah.
Okay, we can start with that.
I've enjoyed the chat, to be honest. So
okay, but your Prey poster, I think, was phenomenal. For one, you're showing the climax of the film, but not giving anything away. And it's just such a moody piece for such an intense scene. Like, the poster is kind of a calm vibe for this final battle. And I think that juxtaposition is really interesting.
Explain the poster quickly. Adam.
Yeah, well,
Describe it.
it's the main character squaring off against the predator, and it's hanging up in a tree. And she's the key thing was having her feel strong. That's my wife again, by the way. I used to reference, but I wanted, and they obviously agreed, and Dan agreed to feel like she's not scared. She's not cowering away. She's gonna fight it. So that's the thing. If anything, the dog looks scared. You know.
I was going to say the dog's body language is both it's hunting and it's a little
it's very
fearful.
apprehensive, but she's like
yeah,
ready, because she's open armed. So obviously, like if you're scared, you would curl up into a ball, wouldn't you? But she's going, come on down, I'm going to get you. So that's sort of again telling a little bit of a story. But this one's like my other Predator ones. It's more scenic. It's more sort of like almost more like something for somebody's wall than a movie poster to sell a film. I did the Prey one after Prey came out, I think.
Yeah, I liked
it was a big
for
hit.
the reasons you said earlier about storytelling, because just by having the blood on her axe and the predator wounded, and of course it's that kind of cold coloration, so the neon green shows up really well. That shows a story.
Yeah,
that's me as a viewer going, how did that happen? So it really goes to the essence of what you're
so
saying.
this was after it had come out, and it had been a surprise hit, I think, and then they wanted some more material to put online and for people to talk about and stuff, and I just wanted to do it anyway because I was like, I mean, that film came out of nowhere. Really, that's how I felt. I was like, what? Absolutely out of nowhere, and it was so good.
Who came up with the idea to put Prey in neon green?
That was me.
Blood. That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
The posters that they printed, they did print some internally. It had glow in the dark ink, I think. I never got one.
It's usually red for Predator, but this is.
Yeah, I think the posters they did for Prey were really nice. I mean, we didn't get a big theatrical, obviously, because it wasn't in theaters, but I was lucky enough to go to the premiere of that one, and just the energy in the theater, I could tell like it was going to do really well before, like weeks before it had dropped, and we went on YouTube and we're singing the praises of the movie, and people were calling us like Disney shills and stuff. There's no way it could be that good, you know. And then it just really took off. So I'm very happy about that, and I'm very happy that Dan is getting his theatrical movie now this year. So hopefully get to do a poster for that one.
I am already knocking on their door and going, I want a poster, please.
And that brings up another interesting point, is just there's a lot of artists online that get these opportunities by knocking on a door, putting their work out there. You know, there's been a number of fan posters that have gone viral, taken off, and I'm sure it's led to opportunities. I remember Alien Covenant had a fan poster competition, and I quite enjoyed the winner of that one. If you want to throw it up here, Aaron, it was by Peter Sandeman. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So that one I thought was really strong, and that was a fan competition where a fan got to do an official poster for the studio.
The only thing, as somebody who now gets paid to do this as a job with the competitions, is it's again, it's a bit of a double-edged thing for an artist, because are you getting paid?
Yeah,
they're getting a lot of free exposure, but you're getting exposure. So I guess it's for somebody who's not necessarily established, it's a good thing. But it's something to be careful of, I think, in doing things for free.
Yeah, definitely. That's always something, you know, as an art student, that's always something they tell us about, is to be careful, because artists are taking advantage of quite a lot these days.
What's the exchange there? Like you say, they're getting something that at that point in their career they might not have got, which is an official movie poster. So yeah.
But I mean, you see just fan posters being put out as well that
Oh
are
yeah, totally.
really high quality. Like you were saying, the original Predator movie poster you didn't consider to be maybe the strongest, but there's a series of Predator posters by Nuno Sarnatus that are actually my favorites for both Predator and Predator 2. And I thought those were just knocked it out of the park. Really strong posters. If you wanted to throw those two up, Aaron, as well.
See if I've seen them, because I see stuff and then I forget.
So that's the one he did for Predator.
I've never seen that. That's quite good. Moody.
And then Predator 2, I think, is even better, honestly. He did this for a Terror 2's competition, I guess, which was like focusing on sequel movies.
That's got a good vibe of the Predator posters, as in the originals, but like with a bit more knowledge of what it is, because I think maybe, especially with Predator 1, the people making the posters, they didn't know what the Predator was or what it was going to be. So, but that looks very, that one's good, but the other one looks very of the time that it came out. It looks like it could have been made then, which I like when posters look like that.
And honestly, I also really liked a fan recolor of your poster, and they made it look kind of like the colors of that 10th anniversary John Alvin.
I
Alien one.
saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if so it was on. Let me find his name.
I
have
did
it
that. I
pulled
did
up
get. I
here.
got tagged in that, which was funny because I did the Japanese version, which was kind of in that
Yeah.
vein, and that hadn't come out yet. So
Okay, so it was by Florist VB Wiedering, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, I think, I mean, as an artist, I'm not sure how you feel about people unsolicited just recoloring your work, but I mean, I'm sure if
I
they're
don't
crediting
care.
you, like, but I thought it was just a really strong coloration of your poster.
Yeah. No, I like any kind of attention, to be honest. So it's all good.
But I do agree with you that I was like, the alien is drooling its blood in the official variation you did, but you were saying that one was a studio request, right?
I wanted it to be the green to evoke the original alien, and then it was blood for whatever reason. Just
so that
was the color
that would have been like Kenner's slime, I remember, because the old
Yeah.
Kenner packaging art had the neon green drool and stuff.
Yeah. And then another thing I did on that one was I did the 20th century
The old
logo,
style.
the
That's
same as the
awesome.
old, and I remade it up. I've made it big so it can be used properly. And they didn't say anything because they usually like the whatever logo is their logo, but I wanted it to look like the old poster. So use the same font and everything. Yeah.
Nice.
Talking about future Predator projects, we do know there's upcoming stuff that's going to be animated. So just hypothetically, if you were hired to do the poster for that, would you try to do it in the style of the artists that have done the animation, or would you try to do it in your own, try to take stuff that you've been given concept art and change it into your style?
Depends on the look of the film. So if they're going real anime, like Japanese style, cell shaded, you would want to have it evoke that because that's what it is. But if it's going to be like a CG animated film, then you can get away with being more like illustrated. So it depends on what it'll look like, I think. Always try to stay true to the film or the property, I'd say.
What have you thought about the Alien Earth teaser key art so far? We've really only had two major pieces, which is like the Earth with the egg crack in it with the green light.
I'm excited for it because I like that the showrunner. It made me. I don't know what this is. Just random thoughts. It made me think of when the alien's head cracks in Alien 3 with the the weird CG. It just made me think of that. When it's reflected, the Earth, just for some reason, it just makes me think of Alien 3. So that's my take on it. But it's doing the job of saying there's going to be an alien on Earth, isn't it? So
yeah, it's putting
it's
across
not a
the
movie.
point
It's
quite
not a movie.
simply.
It's not a movie poster. It's definitely a TV show poster. You know. So I feel like there's an opportunity to do something more refined with the graphic design and the type and stuff. That would be my only comment on that.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting because it's Alien's first foray into TV, but I feel like TV series now have never been
Oh, they're
as
just as good as the
big,
movies, aren't they?
yeah, and highly produced as they are. I mean, a lot of them are bigger budgets than films. I mean, shows
Yeah.
like Fallout, just and Last of Us have just done phenomenally well. I have a couple of my posters to show off, actually. So this is a fun one. I was just curious as to your thoughts here. So this first one, it was like when I was just barely dabbling with Photoshop in 2008, after the Strauss brothers were talking about another AVP movie after Requiem, which they didn't get to do. But I was excited for a future AVP at the time, so I just whipped this up as a little teaser poster. Okay, so yeah, that was just it's an upscaling of it because I had it saved in a lower resolution, but that was just a little fun teaser poster I did. And then more recently,
Alien Romulus, isn't it? With the rings.
oh yeah, so that was their Screen X poster. Was that one with the rings? And then there's one I did more recently for Romulus, which is the first one I had done in a while, where I just photographed the stand-up when I went to Los Angeles in a movie theater and did an edit of it.
So this is a photo of the big alien scorched standee.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's got the right colour.
With the boat
Following that red theme. Yeah.
Mm.
There was a lot of red in the marketing for Romulus.
That poster with the facehugger on is just brilliant. The red one. It's so red as well. And at the premiere, they had that giant thing of it, and it was like all 3D. It was really cool.
Do you have a favorite Romulus poster that's not yours?
That one. The
That
red
one?
definitely. Because it's telling you all you need to know, you know?
But didn't this one receive some critique around the hands, though? How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's airbrushed, so I'm not bothered because it doesn't look. It's not AI for one, which is great. It's not just a photo. It looks kind of vintage. So I like that. I like that it's airbrushed. It's got a old school feel, you know, in the way it's being made. So
I was talking more about like what she's holding onto on the other side. The way the hands are. That's what it got critiqued
she's
for.
it's just like it's Lego or something. Who cares?
Fair enough.
Nitpicky fans sometimes, but yeah, my friend pointed that out to me, and he's like, "Why shouldn't the tail be further back?" And she's gripping the tail with both hands, and I was like, "I can't unsee it now." But it's still a very striking poster that I think that's been their main poster that they've used more than anything.
It's because it's the showing how strong it is. You know, you can see in the hands. She's trying to pull it off, so it just shows like how dangerous the thing is. And also, they've never used the facehuggers much in promotional materials for the franchise before. So concentrating on them for this was clever. And then obviously that scene in the room with the water when Andy's getting possessed is just brilliant. That whole sequence was incredible, really.
And it'd be a great tool if it weren't for the fact that this is obviously Eileen Wu, because we know her hair and face. If it wasn't for that fact, I think that the facehugger would be a great way to hide somebody's identity as well.
Yeah. But it weirdly makes you think of Sigourney Weaver in Alien 3 as well.
Yes.
So there's an element of that.
Which I think was very much the point of her haircut as well in the film.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But no, the use of red was fantastic because it's such a striking colour anyway.
Yeah, I wonder if there was more to it at some point, or there was stuff in the background, but just going slab red is really good. Good contrast, good use of the space. Yeah.
It's color wheels and all that, because you have like blue and grey and that they're cold colors, and when you do that kind of warmer colors, it gives a different tone to the visual. But here, when you're using red, it's more about intensity and obviously sex, and the alien is all about, you know, sex and violation and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, usually like
Danger as well.
a romantic comedy, for example, will have a poster of a white background, somebody stood, and then the title will be red, like 9 times out of 10. And like a horror movie, they'll follow trends as well with doing things, because we know what to expect then. But then when somebody does something different like this, because not a horror movie, there's been a lot of red horror movie posters in the last year, so obviously somebody's figured it out that it triggers you off. But doing it different to all the other posters then makes it stick out. So that's kind of a good thing to think as a poster designer. Like, what's everybody doing? I'll try and do the opposite.
Yeah, and in nature, as I say, in danger, red is danger. So you will psychologically make people take notice of it more. So
It's kind of a surprising thing they haven't gone for it more. What with it being, you know, the color of blood, you'd have thought that'd have equaled horror quite well.
Horror posters tend to be like quite dark and monochromatic, don't they? I think.
And it evokes,
in my experience.
Yeah, and it kind of evokes atmosphere as well in the darker colors, doesn't it?
And speaking of the red kind of horror vibed Romulus posters, there was a lesser seen one, I think, that was the Fandango poster, which was just a close up on Isabella Merced's character.
The reflection in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one was good.
Yeah, that one's a fantastic one.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
So again, keeping in theme with that red, keeping in theme with the blood and the danger.
Well, what's good is they decided to place the title there under the tier.
Mm-hmm.
So Alien, and so there's a real good flow there, straight up and down. So you can read it, and so then you do spot the alien in her eye.
Well, it's also the really good thing about
good
a classic
composition.
poster is it's when they use flowing contours, and that's what they've done with the tail. It's mimicking the spherical nature of the eye. And the head to some extent.
It's got a good composition.
Yeah.
And very representative of the scene itself in the film, where she's watching it just slowly rise up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that one actually. Yeah, when it's first introduced, because I love that shot, that very brief shot.
Wait, it's like up on the roof.
No, when it comes out of the cocoon and it kills Bjorn, and she turns and sees it rising out of the vapor before turning around and falling off.
So I really liked that shot. She's at the door trying to be, let me out, whatever, and it's up on the roof, isn't it?
And I'm not certain whether this was deliberate, but you could say there's some foreshadowing, because her hair, black hair, is melting into the black background and reminding you of the black ooze. So maybe that was a...
I think you might be reaching with that one.
Yeah, that's what I said, maybe.
You see, you can read so much into these things. I mean, honestly, a lot of stuff I say about mine is just stuff I make up. I just usually just make something look nice to my eye, and then I have to explain it afterwards.
The fun of explaining artwork and imagery.
I just did it. I just thought it looked nice.
I thought it looked cool.
Bob Ross, happy little accidents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, movie posters remain just important for the marketing of these films, in terms of just producing key art that can be used for more than just the posters, but also just something to grab attention. And I'm glad that we're seeing still a high amount of posters, like more official variety, I think, from a single studio than we typically got before.
I think especially in today's sort of permanently online digital world that people live in, when you really love something, if you're a fan of something, you want to have the physical representation of it in your life. So if you don't have a Blu-ray player anymore because you only stream stuff, you might want, an action figure or a poster, and I think that's kind of like really important to have something like tangible, and that's what the VHS is all about. That's why that was so popular, I think, because it's something really tangible and like it's not ethereal,
Yeah.
And and it taps into the nostalgia that is a constant thing
Yeah,
as
exactly.
well.
Yeah, it's a double. You get that again. You get the nostalgia and also a real thing.
Especially because probably the people who appreciate having that physical thing in your hand, like our age group, are the people that will have the fondness for that fucking shitty old format of film. So it's a double whammy there. But no, I totally agree with you. I can't wait for that VHS copy that Adam's got for me to come across
I
there.
got a big care package to send you, full of popcorn buckets and other goodies. So,
And it made me go out and buy old copies of the VHS. Like
Oh wow!
This was my first. This VHS. It's not the exact one, obviously, because I had to buy it again. But this was the edition that I first ever saw Aliens on. This CBS Fox All Time Greats.
Was it widescreen or pan and scan?
I don't remember because we certainly didn't have a widescreen television.
Probably pan and scan.
But it's been a long time since I watched this. But yeah, it's that Aliens poster. It's that key art, that iconic. Well, it's a meld, really, isn't it? This particular version, because it's that simple flat black with that image of Ripley and Newt.
That was recalled, wasn't it? I think that's a really rare poster, isn't it? Because they recalled it, the original one sheet.
So that was intended to be the original one sheet. Because I remember,
and then they did Aliens, just the tile.
I think there was a story that Cameron didn't like it or something, but I mean, they've done. I think they did like a newer version of that one where.
I heard it because it was airbrushed and painted that they hadn't got sign off properly from Sigourney, maybe. I don't know. This is all these rumors that go around. So then they were like, "We've not got the sign off. Pull it back."
I think it's an aspect of the production that's not of a film that isn't that well documented. These kind of marketing things, because like trying to prep for this, do you know how much sort of material there was in terms of like the makers of these posters and who'd come up with the concepts and stuff? There was very little.
And you do hear like lots of differing
stories
about it, don't you?
Yeah. It was like barely even covered on the Blu-rays, and I'll love CDL forever for their work on there, but and I don't want him to think I'm besmirching him here, but there was like 2 sentences in regards to the marketing on Alien on The Beast Within, and that was just talk about Greenberg and him his firm doing the title sequence, and Alan Ladd just going, "Yeah, the marketing guys did a great job."
It's that tagline though is associated with the film so much. And that tagline says so much and does so much to sell the film. It's incredible. It's like a work of genius. And did you say his wife came up with it?
Yeah, it was Philip Gibbs's wife.
That's like amazing. I love that.
And that's just a random fact in his obituary, if I remember rightly.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it's not an aspect of these films that's covered that much. And it's hard to fully appreciate the people who made these things so iconic because we don't know. We just don't know.
And wives are really good. My wife tells me when my stuff is bad or wrong all the time. She's like, "Who's that supposed to be?" And I'm drawing like William Shatner or something. Who's that?
A bit of frank honesty.
And I'm like,
from the partner.
I'll try again.
So when you use her as reference, are you like taking a photo of her posed and then you're seeing how it works in the composition?
Yeah. And then I can just basically draw over and do it And so sometimes we'll get a bit of a costume going to sort of make it a bit easier. Yeah. So she's been all sorts of people. I've been people as well. I've been Spider-Man on a few posters, me. So that's always good. But I have to sort of trim myself down and just get the pose right and get rid of the beer belly, and then you can be Spider-Man.
So before we wrap up, though, we've got to bring this one up.
So I was gonna mention it's really cool to see posters like in Asia, because a lot of times they have their own striking, unique designs. I remember like the Predator had a variety of these posters in China that was all this weird artwork of like the Predator skateboarding and stuff. And but this one, the AVP2 Japanese poster, was always a particular favorite of mine. And I won a bunch of them with this online pop quiz thing that they had done. And they sent me like 16 of these posters. And I sent one off to Aaron recently. But yeah, this is one I always thought was kind of cool.
I love Japanese movie posters. I usually do a Japanese version of the big stuff that I do because I just love the way the type looks, and I love the way you can get really bold. And there's one of the best ones ever is the Terminator 2 Japanese poster. It's so cool. It's just brilliant. It's like this sort of black and white image of Arnold, and then it's got like a little row of photos along the bottom and a cool Japanese title. You just go, oh, that's so cool. Yeah. There's a cool Japanese title for Alien, isn't there? Like the original Alien movie. Did they do a Japanese poster
when you say title?
Like instead of it saying Alien, it's written in Japanese and it's big bold Japanese type, and there's a logo that they made for Alien, the first one.
I think I know what you're talking about. It has the crew, right?
I don't know. I feel like I've seen this.
Maybe it's this one.
But yeah, no, I just love all that sort of like, and they seem to again be a bit more wild and creative with the imagery. Yeah, that
crikey,
I just love all that sort of stuff, and it's really cool.
So that is indeed just a bunch of space, what seems to be the Earth, a bit of silhouette of LV-426 and Zeta 2 Reticuli and the crew looking up.
And often they'll just throw in a random photo, like here's a random photo. It is Japanese stuff and 70s posters, and I love all that sort of.
They're an art to themselves, aren't they?
Yeah,
some of these styles.
Fantastic. But what about if you have the Japanese market and that, which are these very dynamic kind of things? The polar opposite of that with marketing and posters would be either Ghana or Nigeria. They are notorious for having these incredibly bad sort of hand-drawn things of all
that aren't accurate to the movies at all. We have like all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, I've seen
sometimes there's a little thing that's like, oh, wow, that's a really great likeness, but they're surrounded like an octopus fighting a crab, and it's a James Bond film.
Well, there's an infamous Alien one, isn't there? Or Aliens one, where it's Ripley and Newt drawn, and then some sort of dragon thing supposedly being the alien with
Roger Corman type monster.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, all of that sort of stuff. No rules, you know.
Would you be able to, if somebody said we want to emulate it in that style, would you be able to do that?
I don't know if I could, to be honest.
Because it's so...
I couldn't bring myself to do it. I think you've got to like have a lack of awareness or care, and just be like, you know what, I think this would look cool there. So if it's something I didn't care about, maybe I could do it. But
it's like asking an actor to sing badly. It's quite difficult to do. But yeah,
and I like to be really sort of pared back and simple with my stuff, really. So yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's probably a good place to wrap up. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, thank you very much for joining us. I
No
hope you've
worries.
enjoyed talking posters with us.
I have no idea what I said.
Well, you'll find out in a number of weeks when this is ready to go.
Cool.
Do you have? Well, do you want to share your links for your portfolio and for Vice Press for folk to go and?
Just Google Matt Ferguson. That's all you have to do. Keep it simple.
And go Google Vice Press as well, then, because there's a bunch of cool shit on there. And Matt, get the fucking alien license. Come on, get some stuff out on there.
I'll try and don't worry. It's I'm always trying. We're hoping to get it. And
Good.
Predator.
And Predator, yeah. I'm proper neglecting Predator on this episode at the minute. I'm
Well,
so sorry.
It's like the sort of. It's not had as much stuff, has it? So that's why it's just, I don't know.
For the record, it looks like it's cakesandcomics.com. That's got a lot of yours.
Yeah, because I wanted to have a coffee shop at some point called Cakes and Comics. That was a coffee shop and a comic book shop, and then that didn't happen, obviously.
That's a nice idea. I like that.
Kept the website.
I was paying for the domain already. Damn it, I'm going to use it.
Yep.
No, fair enough. Adam, do you want to whore us out?
Yes, so you can always find us on our main hub of activity, our website, avpgalaxy.net. We are on all the major social channels, Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and now Blue Sky. We also have a Discord server and Steam group. Big thank you, as always, to our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to support what we do at AVP Galaxy, it's patreon.com/AVP Galaxy. If you'd like to follow me personally, it's at Ridgetop21 on both Instagram and X. I don't know how much longer I'll be there at this point, but
Matt is thumbs down in that, yeah. Well, thank you everybody for listening or watching. This has been Corporal Hicks.
Ridgetop.
Xenomorphing?
Matt Ferguson. There's something in the fucking water.
that has become the iconic line from that fucking film. I'm very fond of the dad jokes. I'll be honest. The amount of people I've done the why did the blind miner fall down the well to somebody. It pisses the missus off because I do it all the time to her.
Brilliant.
But yes, thank you everybody, and thank you to Matt for joining us. Until next time.